Hey, I'm Chad Littlefield, and you are here to find out how to keep a remote team engaged. And I cannot wait to share not one, but 2, 3, 4, 5 quick closing exercises to help keep your remote team engaged. And the reason in this video that I'm going to zoom in and focus on closing exercises is oftentimes the way that we end our remote meetings signals to us what the next one will be like, right? And it signals to us whether or not we're going to be motivated to show up to the next one. So if you end a meeting feeling stressed, overwhelmed, burnt out, demotivated, it's very unlikely that you're going to go into your next remote meeting feeling energized and alive and excited and creative, right? And so taking a leaf out of Stephen Covey's book, the best way to engage a remote team is to begin with the end in mind. So without further ado, let's jump into these 5 quick closing exercises to wrap up your meetings to increase engagement in your remote team. So where did these 5 closing exercises come from? Because I didn't just like randomly pop them out of my brain and sharing them with you blind, hoping that they work. My job is actually consulting with and leading workshops for some of the most innovative universities and organizations on the planet. And one of my current clients, who I'm loving working with, is the National 4-H Council. And I'm helping them design more engaging training and education materials, ultimately to equip and develop young leaders. And so I was having a meeting with them. We were going over all of the closings for their trainings. And so I just sat and brainstormed and pulled from all of the different workshops that I've led, the different experiments that I've tried with how to end meetings, and picked out a whole list of really great closing exercises. So I came up with a list of 10 in that moment for that meeting. I'm picking out 5 to share with you in brief. Without further ado, number 1. Application anchors. The idea here is, if we meet, but there is no application, especially if there's learning involved, and there's no application or there's no action leaving that meeting, then it was a total bust. And so if you want to engage your remote team, one of the most brilliant things you can do is 5 minutes before the end of a meeting, say, leave your Zoom screen, your laptop station, wherever that is, and go find an object somewhere in your house, apartment, car, wherever you are. Go find an object that represents one application you are stealing from this meeting, or one action you want to take leaving this meeting. So for example, you may have somebody go find an ear. I'm not sure how many people have ears lying around, but you may have somebody go find an ear to say, after this meeting, I realized that in my role of leadership, I need to be more deliberate about listening to you before I speak and spit my ideas at you. And the value here is that the brain is wired to take visual data and encode it into long-term memory. Such a powerful way to close on a high note rather than a low note. And another reason I'm wanting to focus on closing exercises, if you've ever heard of the primacy recency effect in psychology, we tend to remember what happens first and what happens last most. And so if what happens last in your remote meetings is like rushing to the end and trying to figure out how to schedule, like when to schedule the next meeting because you didn't finish everything you were trying to get to, that is not great for engagement, and it would be much more useful to set a timer to go off 5 minutes before the official end time and take that last 5 minutes to do one of these 5 closing exercises or to close deliberately in your own way. Number 2, future me. And for this one, I'm going to take you to futureme.org. So literally just type in futureme.org and you'll land on this beautiful site that allows you to write a letter to your future self. And so a really great way to close on a high note is to say, think about the next time we're gathering, the next big meeting we have, the next all staff, whatever, and pick the date before that. So let's say it's December 9th that we're all going to get back together. Go ahead and choose December 8th and write a letter that you would love to receive to get you mentally prepared for that gathering. So it could be something you want to tell yourself. It could be something that you want to share with the team on December 9th. Whatever it is, write a letter to your future self. Now this is perfect for online classes too, or remote learning. Having people write a letter to themselves in the future is a great way to crowdsource remote team engagement. And what I mean by that is, as a leader, you don't want to be the one pushing engagement necessarily. You just want to create opportunities for the team to contribute and engage. And this is a really brilliant one because they get to choose whatever they write and they get to choose when it's sent. And literally you type in your email, you don't get added to a list, no spam involved. You click send to the future and voila, you are there. Super nifty tool to be able to use. I'm sure that now that you know about this, you will figure out a whole variety of contexts to use it in. Number 3 is the question quest. This is a super cool closing, in part because it extends the meeting in a meaningful way. So when you meet remotely, sometimes your meetings can be fewer and further between. And so how do you create the momentum in between one meeting to the next meeting? This is a really great exercise for that. So when Will and I were writing the book, Ask Powerful Questions, we happened to realize and love the fact that the first part of the word question is quest. And so we this closing exercise plays on that idea and invites people in the last 5 minutes of a meeting to say, okay, based on what we've discussed, what's happened, what we've talked about, can you formulate one question which you would like to consistently ask yourself until the next meeting, to go on a quest of sorts? In theory, a really good question allows you to explore possibilities, right? To go on a quest, to explore unknown territory, to uncover new ideas, new perspectives, new connections with people. And so if I were to ask this question, if I were to turn this question into a quest, what is something you know really well? This is an overused one. I probably used this one in the last handful of videos that I've led, but it's a good question. So what is something you know really well? If you were to turn that question into a quest and ask 5 colleagues in between now and your next meeting this question, if your entire group was to do that with a question of their own choosing, the connection and learning and engagement would go up in that group. And so the very simple idea is have everybody formulate the question that they want to ask, either of themselves or of teammates, and how many times they want to ask that question or how many times they want to go on that quest in between now and the next meeting. So a really lovely way to invite people to into meaningful conversations in a way that literally takes, I said 5 minutes, really takes 2 minutes at the end of a meeting. Hope you enjoyed these ideas. This video is getting a little bit longer than I anticipated, and so linked right here is part 2 of the video and another video you might love. And so if you want the other 2, go ahead and jump over there and we'll finish out these 5 lovely closing exercises. Have an awesome, need water. Have an awesome day.